Hello, everyone. Welcome to That Camp, U Cincinnati 2017. So great to see everyone here. My name is Arlene Johnson. I'm with UC Libraries. I'm the co-director of the Digital Scholarship Center, along with my colleague, Dr. James Lee. And so glad that you can join us today. And first off, I'd like to introduce Leslie Schick, Senior Associate Dean of UC Libraries, for some opening remarks. Thanks.
Louder, please. No. Just kidding. It's wonderful to see everyone here today. So good afternoon. As Arlene said, I'm Leslie Schick, Senior Associate Dean for UC Libraries. And on behalf of Dean Shimo Wong, it's my pleasure to welcome you to the third annual That Camp hosted by the University of Cincinnati. As most of you here probably know, That Camp is an unconference, an informal, interactive, and collaborative forum of learning and discovery. It's about humanists and technologists coming together to share their knowledge and expertise and to explore new and innovative skills and techniques to enrich their scholarship. This year's That Camp coincides with the opening of UC Libraries' Digital Scholarship Studio One. It's going to be right behind Triceratops there. The long-awaited first phase of UC's Digital Scholarship Center. Certainly, I want to take a moment to thank Arlene Johnson and James Lee for all the time and effort they've contributed to expanding digital humanities, digital scholarship at UC, as well as planning That Camp. I'd also like to thank the broader digital humanities, digital scholarship group for their enthusiasm and support, and this has been ongoing for 3 years now. I hope that you enjoy the next few days at UC's That Camp. Thank you again for coming and supporting the university and the libraries. Back to Arlene. Thank you.
I'd like to start with some important thank yous to the That Camp Planning Committee, James Lee, Suzanne Reller, Lisa Heitz, Jenny Makowitz, David Sandor, and Melissa Norris. Unfortunately, Melissa can't be with us today, but applause. And also, as Leslie mentioned, we have many people here from our DHDS group at UC, and I'm looking out, seeing these familiar faces that have been with us all 3 years, so thanks to them for their continued support. And a big thank you to Dean Wong, who supports this event, and extra thank yous to our colleagues at UC Libraries, Jay Sinnard, Carl Hiller, and Michelle Wagner for all of the IT support for the event. So thanks very much. Okay, James?
Sure. Hello, everybody. So it's nice to be here in person. For those of you that were at That Camp last year, I was beamed in. I'd gotten the job here. And I was a disembodied head, but I couldn't see anybody. So I could hear you guys, and I could hear polite applause, but it's nice to see you all face to face. Last year at my disembodied speech, I promised when I got here that I would meet every one of you individually to talk about your interest in DHDS. And the crazy thing is, I didn't know if I could fulfill that, but I think to a large extent I have, which I think is, has been exciting. I'm wrapping up my first academic year here. So Arlene and I tomorrow will have a presentation with one of our students to talk about the Digital Scholarship Center and our Year 2 plan. For now, what our next step is at a nuts and bolts level, we will be facilitating a brainstorm. So who has been to an unconference or a That Camp before? Okay. It's the basic premise is, as an unconference, it's a more relaxed, less formal sort of meeting of the minds, as it were. And The one thing I want to say is that what that camp tries to do is sort of lower the technical barrier to entry and the jargon barrier to entry. So you can really just mess around with ideas. So you can propose sessions, everything from very abstract ideational, just talking about different ideas in the DH realm, or very practical things. If you want to teach a workshop on a very nuts and bolts skill, that's all fair game, and anything in between. So we will be facilitating the brainstorm. There'll be transcription on the whiteboards, is that right? And then Arlene and I and the organization team will sort of huddle somewhere and with our sticky notes and organize tomorrow. And I wouldn't feel pressure to I'll just toss anything out there and we'll find a way to make it stick. A lot of times what I've seen it on conferences and other venues is you don't build a total project, or you don't learn the end-all be-all skill about a certain thing, but it sets the ball in motion for further curiosity, further exploration, further conversations. So that's one way to think about this. This is a spark for more stuff over the summer and next academic year. Great, so shall we begin?
Sure. I need to mention one more thing. This is from Melissa Norris, our Director of Library Communications, so please tweet about that camp. But Melissa requests that you use hashtag that camp and tag at UC Libraries. So if you could do that, that would be great. And then actually, after the brainstorming.
Can somebody write that on the board?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Hashtag that camp.
Is there something else?
And tag at UC Libraries. And then after the brainstorming session, we should mention that there's going to be a lightning round. Officially for that camp, they call it dork shorts, but I'm not that keen on dork shorts, so we'll call it lightning round. So while we're off creating the schedule for tomorrow, that'll be Thomas Schertz leading the lightning round. And I hope he'll be as ruthless with all of you as he's been every year. So we're counting on him to keep things in good order. And then we'll have closing remarks at the end of the day. And then also for those interested in continuing the conversation, we'll have a group that will go just off campus for dinner. So if you'd like to join in for that, that would be great. Okay, enough housekeeping, sorry.
Great. You want to?
Sure. We have some suggestions prior to. So for those people that are here that suggested sessions on the website, could you just resuggest? We've got 20 time slots, everybody.
Should I mention day 3?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so because there was a lot of interest in kind of having a, I don't know, protected space for discussion of games, we are having a whole Wednesday morning 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. discussion of digital games for the classroom. Again, it's unconference style, so I'll have like some talking points, but it's not a talk, it's a discussion, of digital gaming in the classroom, what does and doesn't work. So that's for the sort of Wednesday tag at the end. But it's also something to keep in mind if you want to propose gaming-related stuff. Consider just bringing it to that session. We'll have 3 hours all to ourselves.
Well, I posted online about something that could be really I was about augmented reality.
Well, I thought that was really cool though, because I think it's that in communications, we have a couple back and numbers of what they are. So, mind you for the double meeting?
Yeah, not at all. Yeah, I got 2.5 and playing the one I have more experience with and one I did a workshop on.
Awesome.
It was great.
Great, great.
Fast or whatever.
So, AR, and that's smartphone. Okay, awesome. Who else is it? What is there?
I suggest you are on Tableau, getting started with it and doing some visualization around.
Yeah, that's great. Nate is one of our students who's a business analytics grad student. team working with us, they do a lot of humanist questions. And I found Tableau has been really useful in the past for as an entry-level visualization tool. You can sort of throw tons of different things at it and see what sticks. So as an exploratory tool, I think that's a good thing. So you have to create a tutorial and a sample data set. So I think it's Tableau. Yeah.
I've been sort of casually interested in machine learning related to sort of image processing. I've noticed that there are a lot of Ruby and Python gems that give you kind of an out-of-the-box, try it out machine learning kind of approach. Yeah. So they'll give you, teaching data set and a testing data set. I just thought it'd be fun to look into that and try it out. I know absolutely nothing about machine learning, but this would be kind of a nice hands-on Ruby approach to that. So, leaning more Ruby because that's what I'm comfortable with. Yeah.
And next year we've been interested in machine learning world for a few minutes, so it might be interesting to try with that. Yes.
I'd like to talk about e-portfolios as a conduit for all of these wonderful things. Students can have access and produce stuff, and the weird things that come with using e-portfolios.
So could you, I'm not sure what is that?
Oh! Come to my session.
What would be an example of?
E-portfolios, when students, I'm talking about this from a online course and face-to-face and hybrid in the classroom perspective. When students come into these courses and create things, they're often fragmented, especially with the wonderful way that Blackboard or even Canvas will fragment the experience for the students. And the e-portfolios are a way in a digital environment for students to archive their learning in a way that they can share it more appropriately with each other and share more stuff than they normally can when they may have limited tools, and it expands the kinds of things that they can share with each other, and it deepens the conversations they can have not only with each other, but with the instructor and with the content.
Is there a specific platform that you use this?
Which is the beauty of it. No!
Okay.
Any computer will make it happen.
Oh, yeah.
Ruth Benander, RUTH. New word, B as in Bravo, E-N, A-N-D, E-R.
Jackson? I don't know what anybody's talking about, so I would like to propose a session.
Yeah. I was thinking about doing something like this in September, but maybe this would be good. I was thinking about having a conversation, like a seminar, like a gentle introduction to DH, with no computers. Like you absolutely not allowed to bring a computer. You just need to sort of help you literature review or some key articles about vocabulary, things like that.
I totally Wikipedia'd what fell under it. It was like, oh, hey, I already did that. That's cool.
So yeah, that's a great idea. Sort of,
We should write up too many.
yeah.
Your name was, I'm sorry.
Emily.
That's good. We were talking about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Jenny.
But the group of us here at the table have been having really interesting conversation already about the whole issue of e-learning versus digital learning versus digital scholarship. Just the whole moving and trying to bring people along with us between and you and I have had many conversations, between the scholarship and the digital scholarship world, the learning and the e-learning world. And I think it would be a really useful thing for us to try and have a discussion between the different people here who have different perspectives.
Yeah. No, I think that's a great idea, sort of research and teaching in DH and boundaries of learning. I mean, I really found here that DH blurs the boundaries between research and teaching service all the time in a really interesting way. So maybe we can talk about that in a sort of purposeful way.
Yeah, also pedagogy versus learning.
Yes.
And Olya and I have some things we want to bring into that.
Great, wonderful. Linda, you're next.
So we're doing our idea.
Yes.
I have two ideas. Can I get some one after the other?
Okay, the first, my title is Linda Newman. I mean, my name is Linda Newman. My title, forget this, my title is Head of Digital Collections and Repositories at UC Libraries. And certain libraries have been building digital collections now, digitizing original source materials, and now starting to work with Warner Brothers. We've been digitizing original source materials for decades. But what we haven't done from day one is do this digitization with an idea in mind to computational use of the data. Well, with James. So there's emerging recognition that our methods and practices and standards should be factored with the idea in mind of what does it require to build digital collections that really encourage the use of those collections of data. And I thought I could start with a statement that Mark Konechny recently brought to my attention. It's called the Santa Barbara Statement on Collections of Data. And there's a new collections of data group forming. And the interesting thing about the Santa Barbara, University of California Santa Barbara Statement is it talks about some key principles for using digital collections of data, including what could be some ethical concerns that we should think about, or some rights concerns that we should think about. When we produce our digital collections, we talk about how we want people to use the objects, but we don't broadcast in our rights policies how we want people to use the data or to not use the data. So that's my first topic.
So
digital collections as data.
So are you more interested in the data structure side or the rights?
I'm interested in just sort of talking about the issues in general. What are the issues?
Sure.
What are the things? Not solving the issues, but actually identifying the issues.
Yep.
The second topic I thought might be a fun topic to talk about is what do people mean by interoperability? You throw out that phrase. It's a word that's used all the time, that we want to be interoperable. We're making our systems interoperable. But I find as a practitioner and someone who supports software development that people actually mean completely different things when they use that word. So it might be a fun session. I thought you just throw out the word and say, what do you think about it? When you look at a system and say, is it interoperable? What do you mean? What are the use cases behind that word?
Yeah.
I would be interested in a session focused on user-generated collaborative sites or knowledge-making venues, Wikipedia as an example, and even figuring out, for instance, how we can teach students to revise media and work collaboratively to add and narrow to the same.
Right. Right. Sort of crowdsourcing as well, sort of participation in data movements, crowdsourcing. Yeah, that's a good idea. Sure. Yeah, because I've seen some classes use Wikipedia intervention and crowdsourcing as a way to, as a mode of civic engagement,
Right.
getting out of the discourse, getting out of the class.
And every year there's MSR intervention.
Right.
Collaborative. And during the class, we do that, but we do subject matter as well.
Cool. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm Lee Lawrence. I'm the Digital Humanities Librarian at Ohio State, and I proposed a session online earlier for our kind of network of DH and DS librarians across the state, calling them OHDH. And I'd like to have a session for us to get together, librarians as well as faculty, just to talk about resources that we could share, events that we can share, and just different ways that we can collaborate and support digital humanities across the state.
Yeah, wonderful. Great. Yeah, there's several visitors here from other institutions in Ohio, so I think it's a great opportunity to chat about this network. So, yeah, awesome. Yes.
I'm Jody Perkins from Miami University. I'm the Digital Scholarship Librarian there, or I should say one of 3 Digital Scholarship Librarians. And I proposed this session online to talk about digital pedagogy, to explore what it is, what it isn't, what the possible role of libraries is versus other units on campus.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. That sounds good. and that's sort of linked to the Jenny's e-learning research.
Session. I'd
Yeah.
be very happy for it to be
Yeah, wonderful.
Jody's session.
That's great. Or you guys can team together. Well, yeah, I mean, what's an interesting thing is just e-learning, digital literacy, digital scholarship, digital humanities, and this. My last institution, digital liberal arts, was a big thing among the teaching faculty of liberal arts colleges. So there's a proliferation of nomenclature about adjacent techniques that used for different audiences. Like this. So I think it's going to be a good conversation to have. Awesome. Yeah.
I think the session is okay. What is code or intro to coding?
Right.
Just to give people exposure to some of the different languages or just getting back to the base level nomenclature.
Right.
I don't want to run it, but I'm sure one of them take I don't know. I'm talking about like some of the applications within it, but there are more qualified people. I see you all and been meeting with you all.
So
you can talk about like.
I think that'd be fun to noodle around with. So in the past, I've taught like wide range of technical introductions, like how do I function in Python, or like regular expression in Python, or knowing that people that have coded, they've all failed catastrophically. So I still haven't in the past, but what's the best way to do that? So maybe having a conversation about what would an introduction to code or how to write, like how to write a function.
Or not even as far as to a function. Maybe show the function and then, okay, here's what we were trying to do.
Right.
Here are the parts of it. Here's how the teams had to interact together. So not necessarily just going straight to the writing of the function, but somebody show an app. Here's why they chose to write it like this. Here's why a coder would choose Python over Ruby.
Right.
Oh, and by the way, now for the last 30 minutes, try it.
Yeah, okay. I like that. Yeah.
This might fit under one of the suggestions already mentioned, like the data collections or the crowdsourcing, but how to think about online sites as a digital archive for research. So thinking about Facebook or online communities of some sort, what kind of questions and problems arise from that?
Oh, okay. So were you interested in more than nuts and bolts of like how to extract that data for students, or just like how to theorize that?
It's more methodology.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe you can also introduce some basic web scraping tools that I've used in the past before that are good for things like blogs and websites. Cool. Awesome. Yeah.
I'm Ted Baldwin, Director of the Science Engineering Libraries. I've got some interest in network visualization, and not necessarily trying to get into a tools session, but maybe talk about the use cases for that and how we might find value from that. I know there's stuff you do with like co-authorship and like with clusters and interdisciplinary things to try to figure out relationships that may not be evident in other ways to try to show the value for that. And there's tools, but there's a pretty high learning curve with that, but maybe just introducing that, and I'd be really interested to figure out what's ways we can add value to us.
Awesome. I'd be happy to run that with you as a team because we were going to present on some network visualizations tomorrow anyway. So it might be a good introduction to expanding that methodology. Yeah, that's a great idea.
John Jason, health informationist. And one of the ideas that I was thinking about for a session would be kind of looking at some medical humanities or digital humanities projects that are online, and kind of after the project has been created, like what are some other ways or uses for it? Perhaps like how can you use it in the classroom, or how you build projects or events around it? And an example would be like some of the digital projects created by the National Library of Medicine. So I would kind of want to look at some of those projects with the group and determine, how you can continue to use them even in the classroom or to continue to gain value from them.
Great. Yes.
My name is Philip Hudson. I'm a PhD student in planning, and I just started working for Uni as a GIS consultant. So she had asked me if I would give you all a brief introduction, or at least someone gives us some of the projects that are done in GIS, which is geographic information systems, sometimes control sciences. But I would be happy to show you some of the projects. I don't think that the computers are set up in GIS, so I'm going to just bring some works and show you.
Right. Sort of like a use case show and tell, like technical suggestions for chemical analysis. I think that's a great idea. We have a nice list of methods like Tableau for intro, data visualization, mapping, network analysis, machine learning. That's great. Other thoughts? Yeah.
I had another one. I got an account for Uber Movement, which is a new data service from Uber, which is sharing time data.
Yeah.
Cities. I don't know if people want to sit down with that.
Cool. You know, Uber has released a new open source mapping library using WebGL. But yeah, I mean, maybe looking at that, and well, that's related to what does that data look like? Like, what does the library do? Is it sort of time
So
analysis?
it's got a really nice visualization and it's time data. So trip time data.
Okay.
And you get 3 months worth of data for I think 4 rural cities like Boston and DC.
Nice.
A few other internationals.
Cool. Yeah, Uber data and you know, like open source packages that companies like Uber and Google and Facebook release.
Maybe that QGIS?
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Yeah.
I'd like to talk about universal design for learning and maybe how it applies to, I guess I should say learning. Debbie Chomsky, I'm the head of research, teaching, and services here at LISA. And so universal design for learning, and accessibility. Maybe how that relates to some of the projects people are working with, or just do general overview. I know Laura and I just came from a year-long faculty learning community at UCL.
Yeah, that's a really good idea because it's an issue with a lot of data projects that visualization is a huge mode. But what about people that can't see the visualization?
Right.
So how do you enter into the data and manipulate the data if you can't access the visualization? That's a good idea. Yeah.
Jane Wildermuth from Great State. I don't think I could run this session, but I'd like to hear a little bit how digital humanities can help with OER. It seems like a big topic lately, and it seems like a really good place to chat about it.
Yeah.
OERs. But yeah, I don't know how. So open educational resources.
So that would include like textbooks.
Textbooks, lesson plans, so
Right.
and how do we get kind of our digital humanities, make people aware that they could be used
Right.
in these kind of courses?
Yeah. I mean, would you be willing, perhaps not to facilitate that, find some resources online about best practices or use cases to just do that conversation?
Sure.
I know our UC best practice is very interested in this issue, as is the state legislature.
Right.
So,
Really, a hot topic, yeah.
so yeah, it's topical.
I would love to hear more about people's team communication practices. I mean, the more that we start like having wider teams and trying to collaborate more, everyone's communicating a little differently. Are we using Slack? Are we still traditionally using email, text messaging? How are we communicating with our teams?
Right. Whiteboards.
Yeah, like still doing the post-it methods and agile. Like, what are your ways of communicating and operating as a team?
Yeah. And I think that would link nicely to Emily, your idea about the gentle introduction to DH, because I think that a lot of nomenclature and language and lingo is a big barrier to entry. So when you get together a team, as Marlena has seen this year, if you have technical people, librarians, faculty, students from all different colleges, and no one's speaking the same language. But use different methods to facilitate communication. So I think it's sort of works hand in hand. So that's a cool idea. I'm trying to be efficient. They don't really do it. Feels like I'm running through these topics. Well, one idea that, it's not really a session, but we wanted to hold, or Lee and I wanted to hold sort of an open consultation session for people that just want to chat. We've already met many of you individually, but we're just thinking about the digital college and some of our projects, which should be showing tomorrow. But basically, just picking our brain. Any questions I have about digital college, digital community that you see, what you can do, how to help you, etc. Like an office-hour session. You can set the shots. Good thoughts, feelings?
And it's semester requirements. First week of peace.
It's May Day, and we're suggesting Uber as an unproblematic data set. I wanted to question the political intentions behind the certain sources of digital data. So I don't know where that goes, but I just wanted to say it.
Well, that's because that's what I was trying to get at with John, but I don't want to set it in terms of like
No, I wanted to see ourselves as already like embedded in these
because some of the coolest technologies out there are being created by companies with very ethically fraught philosophies to implement these technologies.
Yep, I agree.
A lot of the techniques that I use are reverse engineered by like Google and Facebook. Technologies that are meant to monetize your clicks.
Yes.
But I'm trying to sort of co-opt them for sort of academic ends. But what are the ramifications of that? So maybe would you guys come up with like a dual sort of nuts and bolts and sort of ethical ramifications of repurposing these tools? Well, yeah, that sounds awesome. That's great. Yeah, Jenny.
Sorry, it's not just repurposing the tool. It's accepting that you're going to use that data because it's the only data that you can actually get at.
Yeah.
Because you're going to use Uber because actually Lyft doesn't open it up.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that sort of, sorry if that is exactly what you meant. But
No. I think once we begin to deal with these large data sets, then we're also
that's
doing.
an issue.
Yep.
You work with what's there,
Yeah.
and therefore that sometimes puts you into a conflict with what you think you really want to be working with, and what you want to be presenting to students. And I think you have to contextualize.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, Uber and a lot of these Silicon Valley companies are very laudable for their commitment to open source, but they're not laudable for other things. So, and a lot of these historical data sets, and I think our last stage speaker spoke about the use of Amazon Mechanical Turk, people getting paid, pennies for large-scale transcription tasks.
I think we could have a whole separate session on that.
Yeah, let's do it. Wonderful, let's do it.
We get it, use Google Analytics for the website.
Yeah.
And now you go in and say, well, what else do they like? People that like movies.
Yeah.
And it's like, we don't, where do you draw the line?
Right.
We're just looking for hits and
Right.
using a tablet and a desktop, and people saying, oh, you.
And do we tell people that they can opt out?
Right. Yes.
Exactly.
Right.
No, I agree.
Well, I think that's part of digital humanity. I think the more technical facility you have under the hood, the more informed critical decisions you can make. Like you're saying that it's not that you know that it exists, and you can say, well, actually, I want to not do that. I want to opt out of it.
Right. And not only that, but we opt out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Years ago, ALA, ethics and stuff, we didn't want to know what was
Right.
checked out.
Right.
Stuff like that.
Yeah. And Jenny, a perfect point. I'm just thinking about, we've dealt with this a lot this year. Twitter, we're working on this Twitter data mining project. So we asked for like 48 million tweets surrounding Black Lives Matter. Cost about $8,000. Because most of Twitter, the historical archive, it's marketing companies that buy it. So they can mine data to see, a lot of librarians in Cincinnati are tweeting about blank. Let's somehow, take advantage of that. So there are very few, here and there you get requests for academic research for Twitter, but it's just so expensive, and the cost barrier to entry to access this historical archive is crazy. So yeah, I think this ethics is, I think that's a great ethics. Other thoughts? What do you guys have to learn here? What do you hope to, why are you here as well? I'm just curious.
Everything.
Everything on the
We're just going to take it all. We're just going to process it later.
That's all. I mean, I found that some conferences often that it's like I'm not just a learner, but I
This is
frame
my
notes.
conference. And I'm just like, I'm just going to process it all.
It's also where things are, it's sort of a measure of where things are today compared to where it was last time at that time. So even just what we put on the board is so different from the kinds of topics that we were putting on the board last time. Some of it is the same, but a lot of it is different. The tools are different. What the questions people are asking are different. And I think that even, that's why I'm here today, because I want to hear where people are today and what kind of things that we're talking about.
Something I wonder about is the storage for all the information we're creating. Is it going to run out? What is the university and how much does it cost? And what other universities are using?
Sure.
So maybe that goes in a way with preservation.
Yeah.
That's
all, yeah.
Like the storage and preservation.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. Because I was thinking about how the session would run, being like, here are different storage spots. Yeah, exactly. That's good. Well, but I mean, like you're saying, cloud versus local resources versus, you use UCIT. Maybe I should use things, but should you go rogue?
There's a different question between where is the data stored to begin with versus what are your standards for digital preservation, which many places are you storing it, how often are you actively storing it and checking the data? We want the topic to be about the methods of digital preservation which go beyond storage or just the different options available to us for storage that lower some of our costs, or both.
It also depends on what kind of data you have. Is it images, is it music files, or video files,
Right.
Well, that goes into hacking. We all heard this morning on the news about the Orange is the New Black episodes that we put out.
Oh, yeah.
So I think storage and preservation goes also with security and hacking. And when you're talking about types of data, there are certain kinds of data that it goes with ethics, but it also goes with rights issues and how are you going to store it in order to make sure that you're trying to be as secure as
Right.
possible.
Yeah. And this, it's interesting for different data sets, thinking about, working on historical archive versus Twitter, for example. Twitter is very cautious working with us because they're like, will you respect the privacy of people talking about Black Lives Matter online? And also, we have a project with the Children's Hospital, and this is real patient data. So the IRP procedure is much longer than, working in the English department, for example. So data storage, security, rights, it really matters what the data is. I mean, Linda was talking about data structure before, but, is this sensitive information about patients or yeah, totally.
So we could look at it as sort of a SWOT analysis. That's an opportunities. We have opportunities that are made available to us by having new options for storage, including the cloud. But we also have new threats, including political threats to our data, especially as even governments may be bringing down data. So if we did a SWOT analysis, looking at threats and opportunities for preservation of data. Maybe, I don't know, Elizabeth, I don't want to be getting away from your original idea.
Did you find
Strengths,
weaknesses, opportunities.
Opportunities, threats. And I was thinking really the opportunities and threats.
Right.
I guess that's an
I haven't fully become an administrator yet.
I haven't been one of those in a while.
Oh, yeah. You're very familiar with it.
Makes it sound more scientific.
I thought you were mentioning like SWAT team. Like,
Probably down on your story.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That's only if you have A for arguments.
Yeah. Elizabeth, did that sound all sound okay?
But Elizabeth, I think that's a great suggestion. There's a lot of people here from different libraries or maybe people that are involved in education or research or people who want to do just like personal hobby or something like that. So just talk about what the options are.
This discussion makes me wonder if this would be a topic of interest, but the feelings won't be hurt if it's not. And that is that one of the areas I'm heavily involved in is the emerging field, I still call it emerging, of digital preservation, which is which is meant to be about preserving the digital, not creating digital in order to preserve the analog, but what are the best methods and practices to preserve the digital itself.
Or digital?
Any digital object. And we are, the UC Libraries is involved with we have a digital preservation partner with Academic Preservation Trust, which is a group we're helping, an application and a consortium we're helping to develop. I can talk about the goals of Library Trust, but I can also talk about the topic of the field of digital preservation. What is it? What does it mean? What does it not mean? Would that be relevant to our work at this point? Or is that getting too academic? No, it's a totally different topic.
Okay.
It's what are the emerging standards and best practices? What is the current consensus about what it takes to preserve the digital? There's a famous topic that was put out a few years ago about what is required to preserve a petabyte of digital data for a century. And the conclusions were, we don't know, because it would take more resources to actually prove it than we can actually bring to bear in all of our various preservation solutions today. So, if it fits in my...
Oh, yeah, great. Yeah.
Is just digital literacy in general been proposed yet?
Yeah.
Like, just discussions of digital literacy, what that means right now, how that's, like, changed.
Again, not something I would want to read or anything. But one thing that I'm interested in is kind of the assessment side of these things.
Sure.
You know, we build these digital projects and we make things that look really neat, but then how do we know that the right people use them or, you know, that they're useful? So kind of assessing our work.
Right. And outcomes are different for pedagogy, research, etc. So, yeah, it's a great idea. And funding agencies like the NEH and Mellon are really interested in assessment now, but assessment means so many different things to so many people. Like, are you talking about a peer-reviewed article? Are you talking about user numbers or what? So, yeah, that's a great point.
I'm curious too about, this might go with the new to DH, but I'm curious to like what barriers people have faced. Is it technical?
Right.
Is it yeah, and then if you've solved that particular issue, how you did it.
Right, sure. That's a great idea. Yeah, I did that. I did link up with several.
Right.
But I think that I need to use.
Yeah, just, usually typically when we go to conferences, one of the best things is to say, oh my God, I did that, here's what I did. You know, you find out how other people do things.
Right. Yeah.
I'm wondering if the barriers to the assessment sort of goes and how related in a way. Because a lot of times, I think when things don't work, it's because the barriers have been sometimes very simple, and sometimes very near the beginning of the project, and it's so simple that the initial IT just didn't work.
Right.
And the rest of the project might have been fantastic, but people couldn't actually access it because some very simple part of the initial IT they couldn't get to, then the assessment failed.
Yeah.
So I think they should be somehow related. So I mean, there are different kinds of barriers. There's barriers to the project being successful, and then there's barriers that people had in actually being able to implement and build the project.
And I mean, there's several different sessions being proposed now, and I don't think they can be defined as one, but I mean, one thread I'm seeing is sort of how to create a project from conception, planning, all the way to dissemination and assessment, and all the steps in between, from the theoretical and ethical to and the academic to the nuts and bolts. So I think this is really good, because unlike a lot of humanistic work, you sort of have to build a team and you have to sort of build like a whole infrastructure to make your project work. So I think all of these are feeding into this broader issue. Because it's one thing, you learn something at a workshop and you're like, oh, cool, it works. But how do you turn that into some kind of project or research or teaching outcome? That's not so evident. We've been trying to facilitate that at the DSC, but it's a bigger issue. So I'm open either having these separate ones or having sort of a sure, awesome. Yeah.
With motivation is naturally career because it's going to be a balance, right?
Yes.
The motivation is stronger will become the career.
Yeah, because it's not everyone wants to learn how to do certain things. Like, is your motivation like I want to become a specialist in this technique or this project, or is it just sort of a side interest? So, absolutely. Yeah.
This might be coupled with digital literacy because I'm not sure if you can have that conversation without understanding the evolution of what we mean by digital identity and how that goes.
Yeah, that looks nicely with the whole ethical, where ethics data issue.
It seems like we almost have a theme. Well, I think others pointed out, needing ethics and politics and rights, and, I think that's kind of interesting.
Sean, I don't know if this is where you started with this whole thread about Uber. Jumped off the rails.
So a series of these that look like they might fit kind of nicely together is that the digital literacy, which would lead to the barriers, because there's been some problems there. And then the crowdsourcing and e-portfolios then become case studies in what is digital literacy in order to do an e-portfolio or do this crowdsourcing, and what are the barriers that are slowly being overcome by the people who are able to enact those.
Yeah. So that would be a very related to the pedagogy teaching angle, like a methodology of the different barriers each step for digital pedagogy, digital literacy. I think that's a great idea. So I think that we're organizing several different clusters here. The one related to the ethics and that dimension. There's a sort of conversation about vocabulary, defining age, defining different issues, but also nuts and bolts things about how to assess projects, how to, the nuts and bolts of structuring data, acquiring data, how to communicate with the team, etc. So, let's see what else is there. And then we have, so then the third puzzle would be sort of the nuts and bolts workshops, or Tableau, machine learning. What else is there? Yeah, augmented reality, yeah. GIS, yeah, network analysis. So yeah, I think 3 axes here that seem really interesting, like interoperability, yeah, cool. I'm just thinking ahead. We have quite a few sessions, so we might ask some of you to sort of team up, pair in sort of adjacent topics.
I'm not suggesting this as a topic necessarily, but these conversations are making me think of a couple of years ago we had Alex Gill from Columbia here, and he was talking about accessibility and what he termed minimal computing, so DH projects that were accessible on the phone. And both he and Hussein Grissom are active in that area of research, which I think is interesting.
And that was well in AR.
I can speak some on the minimalist or microcomputing, like either with like Raspberry Pi projects and like avoiding stuff, but that kind of slides into barriers. So that's why I didn't propose anything. But like, yeah, Raspberry. I always forget people are familiar with Raspberry Pi, and then they go like, what? But like the little, they've gotten it down to like $10 computers and like $35 computers, and people can be using them for like computer labs and like just hey, you can work this, and it didn't cost someone 4 paychecks to be able to have a computer.
Yeah, you can build your own computer.
Yeah, and they're little.
But that goes in with the micro and the accessible projects and just like us not always throwing everything that we have at the university level at it because the community can't get to.
And this is where cloud comes in too, because do you buy a supercomputer or buy a microcomputing cluster, or if you use cloud, you have access to effectively a supercomputer. Like I was just chatting with a representative from Microsoft Research and the machine learning team, and they were saying that they're most impressed by people that can bust out their iPhone, they can run like a machine learning algorithm in their phone. So it's very similar to what you're saying, at the very high end and the most entry level, thinking about mobile and accessibility, mobile barrier. That's cool. The minimalist computing related issue. Also, other topics, I could have linked to
Sorry, I just had to respond to that last comment. They may be really, I don't know, just somehow feeling that that is what they are impressed by. To me, and I've noticed from teaching students who are sitting there trying to access things from their phone where they can't properly see it, they can't properly think through the 3-inch screen, if you're lucky, that they're looking at. And they actually are extremely limited by what it is they're looking at, and therefore what it is they're thinking about.
But this is why I think
I just disagree that is where what they think is impressive. And I think
please come to the session. That sounds great. Yeah, no, but this is a computer science problem. So they're not teaching a human humanity class. So what they're looking for is the efficiency and the wow factor is different than what we're looking for in terms of pedagogy. So, but I think that's why we have events like this, because we have humanists, researchers, teachers, IT people, but also technical people that, they don't get humanist language either.
those students are being limited by the technical.
Yeah. But oftentimes because of the market forces getting driven, there's more cooler, smaller and smaller apps on the phone, but is that good teaching? So yes, please do chime in at that session.
Yeah.
As a part of the assessment, I think we could do something about user feedback. I feel like we put so much stuff online and do all these projects, and then we might hear some researcher call us like, hey, that's cool. We really have no way to get feedback. You know, the assessment's one thing and like numbers and stuff, but I think, you know, in that we could also figure out like a way to like actually talk to people. I mean, I think it's part of that assessment for digital projects.
Right.
Not necessarily a new.
Right. And the different strategies for assessment, is it user
Yeah.
feedback or is it, you know,
Is it
what?
just-
Yeah.
Oh, great, we got 15 downloads this week. Yeah, we-
Right. Yeah.
This sort of seems to be ahead of time. Is there any way we could hold any questions today?
Which one would you like to do?
Right.
I just wondered, because we are really ahead of time.
Well, we have to. It's not our partner phone, so. Yeah. Well, Thomas, where is the fellow? Yes, he's going to be still in the lightning round while we get this done. So maybe if we have time, we can organize and tabulate these topics, and then Thomas will do the lightning round. If we still have time, we can have like a jam session. Any other ideas? Any other ideas that are possible? Does that sound like a reasonable compromise? Just let us move the ball forward. Because we don't, I do want to organize this. Other thoughts?
Before, we'll organize this room, organize all of this, and in the meantime, then we'll be with Thomas, and we have to let him know.
Can we do a 5-minute break?
Yes, good idea.
So I'm working on the list for us, and I've got the URLs already. But she sent me an email about just general JIRA strategy. I'll be a best. All right, welcome to the Lightning Talk part of the forum here. The idea behind the Lightning Talks is that it is an open mic, and what we do is we have 2 to 3 minutes to come up and self-promote, demo any neat technology, share any kind of work you've been working on. You get bonus points if you can work in a picture of your pet, or a vacation, or one of your kids or something. But the idea is that I'll go ahead and start. I'll present a neat topic. And what I'll ask is that those who are interested in following the queue come over here and kind of make a soft queue this way. If you need to use a web browser, my laptop will be available. If you need to plug up your laptop, there's an HDMI connection. And so then we'll just work through neat ideas in a lightning talk kind of way. And so let's go ahead and get started. Any questions about how the format's going to work? Besides the awkward queuing over here. All right. So I think I want to start by introducing myself. My name is Thomas Schurz. I'm a software developer here at the library. One of a very thin breed. And I think that's what I want to start with. The idea that we have a lot of innovations happening around campus and in the information industry. But I'm not seeing a lot of developers coming on board. All right, I'm seeing a lot of needs for integration, and I'm seeing a lot of needs for connecting systems to systems, and I'm seeing a lot of needs for pooling analytical data from one system and displaying it and using it in another system. but I'm not seeing a lot of experience coming into the university. So I think what we have to do is we have to start to self-organize in an organic kind of way. And so the first thing I want to do is mention 2 tools that we as developers use here on campus. One of them is called GitHub. Who's familiar with GitHub? All right, GitHub is basically a storage, a versioning and storage and collaboration platform for software developers to put their code out there so that it can be shared with other software developers. It can be commented on, you can collaborate together. And I think GitHub is going to be a key tool for how we're going to be able to guerrilla work together or underground or organically work together as developers here on this campus. So what I've done is I've started, so not just do we have GitHub, we actually have something here on campus called git.uc.edu. It is a private, more controlled version of the public GitHub that you've heard about. And so I've started an organization called UCode. And what I'm proposing is that if you have developers, if you are a developer, if you want to start to collaborate with other developers here on campus, ask to join this repository. Ask to join this organization. So it's git.uc.edu/UCode. And this is where we can start to share some of our integrations. And if anybody heard me last year, these don't have to be big enterprise applications. You heard me bang the microcode drum. You heard Byron bang the minimalist computing drum. The idea of login scripts, basic crosswalks, little bit of useful code that you think other people might need or use at this university. API work. We're going to have a lot of API work coming down the pipeline, but we can talk about how our web services work. We can share examples. I want to try to start up kind of an underground community on GitHub called UCode, and that way we have a place to collaborate, to share code, to talk about our code. The second part of that is talking about our code, right? So as Byron also mentioned, Slack. Who knows what Slack is? Who's heard of Slack? All right, Slack is basically a souped up version of the old IRC chat. Back in the day, we had, before the internet had pictures, we had chat rooms. We had just places where we could go and share links and talk about things. Who was the best soccer player in the world? What were the lyrics to this song? Whatever awkward little things. We went into these chat rooms and we talked about stuff in a very informal, fun, kind of non-documented kind of way. And so that is what Slack has become for developers. Here at the libraries, we have a Slack channel that is very informal. We just post cool articles that were related to some bits of code we use. We just post funny memes. It's just a very informal way of tying your developers to the other developers on campus. And it's meant to be informal. It's not meant to be highly structured. It's not meant to be monitored by administrators. It's meant to have fun and really kind of organically develop some of our ideas. So to go with the UCode GitHub repo, I have also put together a Slack channel. I have also put together a Slack channel for us called UCode. UCodeHQ.slack.com. And so that if you would like to join the informal conversation around UCode and the things that we're coding towards, we have a GitHub repo now, and we have a Slack channel for having fun, being coders, making puns, sharing funny memes, goofy stuff that coders like to do. So I guess that was my first thing I wanted to present. I wanted to get up on a soapbox and talk a little bit about us as coders here on campus and how if we're going to tie all these systems together, it's going to have to be done organically. It's going to have to be done from the ground up. And it's going to kind of, have to be done as a developer community. And so hopefully you'll sign in, you'll join either of these forums, you'll start to be a part of the developer community here on campus. That's my 2 minutes. I do have another presentation, but I'll let some other people go before I show off another thing I have in the queue. So I'd like to invite Amy Koschhofer up. She's going to show us
The Open Science Framework.
the Open Science Framework, OSF.
You didn't get your pets in there.
I've got another presentation.
Okay. Okay. So this might be a little bit
Let's
awkward.
make sure you're up. If I can help in any way, I can advance, or
Okay.
are you up?
I am up.
All right.
Okay, so I wanted to talk about the Open Science Framework. We recently have an instance for the University of Cincinnati, so I'm taking this time to shamelessly tout this tool that we brought here for you to use. Okay.
I got you.
You got me? Okay. So I wanted to frame the Open Science Framework in a context of having scholarly impact. I think that's one of the reasons why you do the work that you do. You're interested in pushing the boundaries of the knowledge that's available. So you want to have impact in the field, and I think, I'll put this out there, I think these are ways that you can do that. And the Open Science Framework is going to help support your efforts to have impact in your field. Okay, so one of the things that the Open Science Framework is really good at is sharing the process. So it is a tool that will help you document the projects from conception to the end, help archive it, share it, and I think that that's the point that I want to make, that it's a really good tool for sharing the process. Okay, so I know that you do have some tools already out there, and I thought I'd say at this moment, I've heard about Omeka, but I'm not an expert in it. What are some other tools that you might be using to share your process, especially like Omeka? I know is really, you're going ahead.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, so just if you wanted to shout them out, what are some of the tools that you're using?
Just in general with some.
Yeah, to share your process, to put your information out.
I use Calibri still for just showing all of my resource management.
Anybody else using tools to kind of put their work out there? Anybody using Omeka? So what?
Scalar is another.
Scalar?
I've been using to
Okay. Yeah. So I think these are tools really good for creating exhibition, putting it out there, but maybe not as much about actually documenting the actual process, right? So, well, if you want to go ahead, next one. Yeah. So, like I said, I think that's the way that you might be sharing the results, right? That's publishing, sharing the results. But again, I'm stressing that the Open Science Framework is a really great way of sharing the process of your project. Okay, so this is, if you were to log in, like I said, we set up an instance for the University of Cincinnati. This is the URL. You would log in and you would get a dashboard of all the projects that you're working on. This one is specific for the University of Cincinnati. You would log in with our Shibboleth authentication. There is a version that's a public version, and if you're collaborating with people outside of the university, you can link a project within our instance to the more global version of it. Okay. And it does a lot of things. It has a lot of features, from managing the components of a project, to being able to share the project with your collaborators, to actually tracking what's happening through wikis and a login and an activity log. You can add on storage components or other kinds of add-ons. They're really good about working with people that are in an open source community. So if there's an open source tool, they are willing to work with the Open Science Framework. They would create an add-on for it. It has version control. Another really great thing is you can register your projects by having a time-stamped version of it. And then there's quite a lot for security. So all of these features for using the Open Science Framework. The next one. And I wanted to focus on, I said the word open, I said the word science, but actually there's a lot of different kinds of projects within the Open Science Framework. People are documenting the Women's March, and they're taking oral histories, putting it up in the Open Science Framework. There's one social science project looking at second language acquisition. And then there's a really great feature that you can put preprints into the Open Science Framework. Here's a version from the Iliad where they're making a preprint of the article and putting it into the Open Science Framework.
Can we see one of those to see what?
Well, I was actually going to, my next slide is not one of those, unfortunately, but I thought I'd put up another one to go to the technology side of it. This is what a project looks like in the Open Science Framework. So like I said, maybe not so good for creating an exhibition or an exhibit, but really good about documenting the process. Components are like folders. You can share at these different levels or share the whole project. These are going to be the pieces of the project. This is going to show you all the files associated with the project. And here's an activity log. I'm not sure if there's a place to give out the slides, but if you want all the URLs, I can send you them later. Okay? Okay, and if you want to know more information, you can contact me directly, or you can just email at AskData or AskGIS. I get both of these emails, so you can send me an email, and I'm willing to go in it more in depth. I was trying to make it under 2 minutes. I know it's a pretty good thing, but if you want to do the next thing. And I'm going to get double credit. I'm gonna do another clip.
Yeah.
I'm going to show you a couple of my pets here. But anyways, I really appreciate if you email me, let me know. Robert sleeping, and Zuri playing, and wait for it. And Linda wants to.
Can I do a quick shout out, or maybe you want to for the integration with Scholar UC?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so if we go back to the add-ins, is, whoops, one. Yeah, so Linda's mentioning here that connected to add-ons, University of Notre Dame has an add-on with their institutional repository. They use same code base as we use, and they've created an add-on for their institutional repository to the Open Science Framework. So if you want to talk about how that would actually work.
Yes, so you can see that there's some real overlap here with what OSF is doing and the TU Scholar UC, what we're trying to do with Scholar UC. Except that we're not focusing as much on the versioning of your research while you're doing the research and some of the tools that they're giving researchers who are mid-project. But we're certainly interested in the long-term archiving of the results of those research. And so we're very interested in what Notre Dame is doing and giving people, as I understand it's an option from within OSF to say, send this to our local repository. And this works with a version of OSF that's customized for your institution. So if in fact we get enough traction with the use of OSF here at UC to make it a justifiable software development effort, there's a potential to add an integration with our local repository so that it is, so that your work is not only being, you've not only used OSF as a platform to help you document the reproducibility of research, but the long-term results of that work that you're publishing once you're ready to publish can be sent directly from OSF to Scholar at UC.
So that's another reason I want to get people to get their projects into our version of the OSF or our instance of the OSF, and then hopefully we'll have that support to have this next step in development going on. Again, any questions? AskData@uc.edu, and thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Yeah.
Amy, will you throw a link to your slides up in the message board for
In the
that
message
camp?
board?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So,
All right, thank you, Amy. I've been to a couple OSF sessions, and I think the neat thing about OSF is it's committed to the entire life cycle of your research, from the very beginning to the very end of the project, which I think is really cool. Next up, we have Sean Crow, and Sean's going to tell us more.
My name is Sean Crow. I'm a developer at UC Libraries, and I'm currently working on Scholar at UC. That's my main gig. On the side, I've worked with a few colleagues on some DH projects. The one I think that we're most proud of, and one that was talked about, I think maybe 2 years ago at that camp, is a project called the Cincinnati House of Refuge Project. I'm going to do a brief overview of this, and then if I have time, I'm going to delve into some Uber apologetics, okay? I'm kidding.
Anything I can help to guide you along?
Okay, so let's talk a bit about this project. We have, it's a digital collection of historical admission or intake records from a children's home in Cincinnati around the turn of the century. So this was kind of a home for orphans and kind of wayward youth that existed. Our data set covers from about, I think, 1898 till 1908, about 10 years. This was a project to kind of take kids in and sort of reform them. It was reformatory, right? We have about 7,000 records that include demographic and age and other data about these kids that came in, as well as some intake information like any crimes may be charged with or committed. And we also have relations between the records. So there's a unique identifier for each child / case. And so if we have repeat admittees, then those can be linked together as well. If we jump to search records, you can see that we've created a form that you can use to search and facet through this data. So right off the bat, the index is populated, and I can't remember how we are ordering that, but the real story here is the faceting here. So you can facet by age, gender, reason admitted, which is a list of mostly crimes, right? Incorrigibility, coded words for different kinds of crimes. They can mean a lot of different things. And that's where a lot of the interest in the project came through, is trying to kind of decode that. What exactly does that mean? Let's see, we have race, nationality, birth location, state, city, etc. When you can create a search and kind of limit down to a certain set, and you can also look at an individual record after you have limited down. So Thomas, if you want to just pick one, we can get a view here, and we get sort of a show view of a record. So this is what a 12-year-old boy, Catholic Irish boy, who came from the police court for incorrigibility, right? This one, let's try to find another one. Try John Wessel, maybe. Go ahead and scroll to the bottom. Well, I should have had one picked out. If we have repeat offenders, there'll be like a list of different records that show up. So this is really lightweight, a really simple app that we created kind of on the fly to make kind of like a visualization and search interface to this data set so people can actually get into it, right? It was a project that was funded, I believe, by grant money to go through and digitize and OCR the data. And now this is a way that you can actually access it. It's not showing right now, but there will be links out to the actual images of the intake records, so you can see the pages where people actually wrote it all out. It's very hard to read. That's not showing because of bug, but it will be. We have a couple agreements to use these in some classes on campus. I think that would be kind of an interesting historical resource for people to look through. And I think that might be all I have to say about it. Thanks very much. It's currently at cincyrefuge.heroku.com, and we're going to get a better looking at this. One other thing, I think we're in negotiation right now to have this hosted in partnership with the Digital Scholar, help me out with it, the James Lee's, Wayne Johnson's digital, the Senate, Digital Scholarship, Digital Humanities Center. Yeah. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sean. Really neat content about all the delinquents in Cincinnati. Look for your family members. Hi. Next we have Ruth. Ruth, can you plug up or?
Oh, no, can I log into my Google on yours?
You certainly can.
I probably don't have Apple TV.
That one, I agree, that would be.
If I can get into my Google, I've got to let my slides right there. You can go out and get.
Do you have about 3 more minutes in before I just add it there? All right, so don't be bashful. Feel free to queue up over here if you have any self-promotion or curiosities you've discovered. Do Ruth a favor here. I don't need the world seeing all that.
Oh, that's right.
Good thinking, Tom.
Thank you.
We didn't see your pet.
I don't have any. My dog is like 19 years old and is just barely hanging on. You guys, I mean, she's in tough shape. I can show you my kids, show you my vacation.
Kids, they probably don't like me. My girl would be.
But
They require
does anybody know if we have a place on the That Camp website where we can post these kind of links? Is that some work that Michelle could be doing while we go through this? Anybody know who set up the That Camp website? Is there a blog up there? Go ahead,
There's gotta
Bobby.
be a blog or something up there. Like it's in the default.
Okay.
Like, there's a blog for posting recommendations. So,
We'll see if we can start to comment some of these links. Or put them in the Slack channel.
It's email stuff.
All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's
get it by the time.
There we go.
It's for me to go back to project team that only use email. It is. I mean, it should be a 3-minute conversation and it takes 40 minutes.
Yep.
We're up.
All right, fantastic.
Hello.
Everybody welcome Ruth.
Hi, my name is Ruth Benander. I'm up at Blue Ash College, and I'm in the English and Communication Department, but I'm also I'm one of the past co-directors of our Learning and Teaching Center. So I do a lot of work with trying to help people understand what digital humanities is and to participate in the, not just adopting it, but adapting it and innovating with it. And one of the processes that we're really interested in is how do you get people past the initial barriers? Because in general, paper is easy. If you're familiar with the Medieval Monk YouTube video, it's like, look, I just unrolled a scroll with this stupid book. You have to turn the pages. It's much harder. Anyway, this whole thing of getting online for a lot of people is really hard. How do we get them to use these lovely analytics that we have? How do we get them to adapt technology? So the idea is to make it easy and to make it familiar. So you'll notice this place setting is slightly innovative. It's my pet.
Bonus points.
And what is really interesting in the English department is that we have a long history of portfolios. And when I look at compliance, it's a difficult word, but in medical research, when they look at getting people to take their meds, it's kind of like us trying to get people to use technology sometimes. And people won't innovate in terms of taking their medications or using medical innovations unless it's easy. So, doctors wore these infected frock coats and would kill people in maternity because they go from dissecting cadavers to delivering babies, and then they wondered why people died because they didn't change their coats. Well, they have the same problem now with ties. If you dangle your tie around, you're going to infect people. Why? In the British health system, they said, okay, put on a bow tie. It's easy. Nosocomial infections dropped in the NHS. So how do we make it easy? Anesthesia was also made patients easier to deal with. Boom, caught on in 10 minutes. Hand washing, hard to do, still isn't catching on. So we wanted to make portfolios easy and familiar. So people are familiar with the paper things. And so we're trying to put them online so that students can make digital archives of their own learning. So the concept is well known in paper, but now we started to move it into the digital realm so that students can do that for themselves. But e-portfolios felt new, but it's not catching on really fast in other places, but for us, it was a transition that people were able to do. So students can now digitally archive their creations from a course. They have better reflection because they can see all their stuff. So we have pedagogical improvements because we want the reflection to happen. And they also have a more poignant audience because it's out there in the world. Other people can see their work. So there's a little more frisson. They're working a little harder to make their stuff look good. So the e-portfolios are making better what we could do with paper. So when we when Blackboard Analytics came out, has anyone here heard of Outcomes, Blackboard Outcomes, capital B, capital O? Oh, one! Yay! Blackboard Outcomes. Anyway, it's a way of being able to harvest data from Blackboard. So people upload their ePortfolios into Outcomes, and then it can be distributed to different coders. It collects those ePortfolios. It allows multiple readers and multiple coders using rubrics. And all of a sudden, we're able to see the student work in brand new ways. Now, this is hard to see Rocket and Spark in the picture, but you notice they're not in their cat beds, right? So normally, and so I have pets and contextual appropriation. So here we have their cat beds. The kitties are eschewing their cat beds. These are the normal containers for student work. Now we can look at student work outside those traditional containers, and we get a new look at the pets or the student data. So as the faculty were, I am faculty, so I speak of my own people, suckered into Blackboard Outcomes in a way that they were able to suddenly look at this data in new ways. And this is what we were talking about in digital humanities. We take a look at stuff, and we've seen it this way, and now we see it this way. And it's extra super cool, and Blackboard Outcomes allowed us to do that, but the reason that we were able to do it and have the buy-in and sucker people into getting out of their cat beds was that ePortfolios came from portfolios that were familiar. We made it easy in Blackboard Outcomes, and now we're seeing innovation and how to think about it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'll log you out. You got it. Thanks for being a great sport and catching on to the theme. Yeah, great. You got your laptop? All right. Next up, we're going to welcome Michelle Ford. Michelle is business analytics for the Provost or e-learning community. Good, Brenda. You're in.
All right. So I just wanted to do a little self-promo of all the dashboards that we do in e-learning analytics. So right now we're working on, this past year we've worked on benchmarking kind of where we've been in e-learning, looking at Kaltura, Echo 360 usage, some of our instructional design projects that we've been working on, our learning technology support issues, as well as the bottom we've got Kaltura. But all of these dashboards here are public out on the Provost site under e-learning and then analytics and then e-learning analytics. And so you guys can dig deeper into the data. So if you're interested in seeing who the top users are for the various dashboards, I hope this is fixed. You can look at the different metrics for, full screen works a little better. For Kaltura, and we can see over time how it's been growing, like plays. There have been more plays semester over semester, year over year. And we also have top Kaltura contributors. So we can celebrate those people that are actively engaged in our e-learning tools as well. You can drill down by college. All this information is out there. It's public. You're welcome to drill down and use my dashboards because they are for everyone to enjoy. Questions, comments? We're working on actually integrating more data in it in this next year, which joining his coding community, because there's a lot of data coming from the vendors that is going to be through an API connection, and I got to figure all that stuff out. And we'll bring in some data from Blackboard using Blackboard Analytics for Learn. And I've been working with Brenda Frankenhoff and Ruth on the Blackboard Outcomes assessment stuff as well. So that's what we do in e-learning analytics.
I did recently share your dashboards with the library. I think the UX is amazing. I think the way you can hover over and drill down, get all the information you need there, the word clouds, everything looks fantastic. And Michelle is new, correct?
I've been here just over a year.
All right, well, welcome. Okay, fantastic.
So my name is Byron Hutchins, formerly of UCIT's e-learning department as well. I was engagements and communications there. I then left and actually became a production manager doing live events. So I was always trying to find ways of how we can do things like this, bring all the different types of communities together and actually then activate them to go out and do something. So recently what I've actually been working on with one of my wonderful friends and partners right there is what we're calling Figure 8. It's a new company that's focusing on technology, but making it accessible to communities. So very similar, not just the disability services side of accessibility, cost, the making it exciting, the making people want to actually use it so that we're getting qualified results with it. So it works very well. That's why I kind of want to talk, especially after Ruth, and then just going in with it, Michelle, talking about analytics. It's all great that we have these tools now, so let's go ahead and keep using them by going out into the communities. So what we've recently been doing is actually taking a block party and live event model and going to do health fairs right now, focusing in Avondale, working with a couple of the community centers. It's been pretty interesting for us because we wanted to use this more place-based approach, and we're getting some good successes. One of the things that I'm actually excited and why I wanted to start coming back to that camp and to the university is it's time for us now to scale up. We went into a child development center that works with Phoenix, with Rockdale Academy, and with South Avondale. And so it was really looking at what the K-12 and more importantly around that third grade point was doing. And that's where we saw hardware and them not having access to build either their computer labs or to even get the kids to be able to play around and feel free to fail. It's a weird concept, but if you feel free to fail, then you're excited to play and you're excited to try something new, and thus innovation isn't as terrifying. So that's just kind of a brief what we've been up to now and how it's slotted back in with there. We're excited to be coming back up to the university and looking at re-engaging with the university, especially seeing how far out e-learning has developed. The libraries are getting active. It's now getting out into all of the various colleges as well. And we're not having as much siloing anymore here at the university, and that really excites us, and it's making us excited to want to actually come back and partner with the university when we actually left out of frustration. So a little bit just on updates on what some of us are doing in the community and how we're looking to reintegrate back with the university.
Fantastic.
Yep.
Love it. Love having that community perspective. Appreciate it.
All right.
Hi there.
See if we can hook this up.
Uh-huh. Okay. That should work over there. We just might have to do backwards. Okay. I got you. Shake it up. Nothing yet.
Nothing yet.
How about if you put it on mine? Do you need to?
No, I can totally.
Any web browser would be fine? All right.
It'll just take me a minute to download the one thing.
Back here. Keep that up.
Hi, I'm Holly Jackson. I'm the humanities librarian at Wright State. And I'm kind of relatively new to the concept of digital humanities, but I've been doing things within it without realizing that they fit. So I'm one of those people that doesn't code or design things myself, so I want to share a couple things I've played with for my instruction. I can just type these in real quick.
Holly
Alright, so I'll start here real quick. So just a tiny bit about augmented reality and what I did with it. So I designed a murder mystery that got students to play around with library resources and was simultaneously a self-guided tour that I ran in the fall. And so I used an app called Erasma, and basically what I did for it was I created a guide to help them go around in a space to write their clues. They saw posters like this one on the left, and if they held their phone with the app open over it, a video would play like this one. And they were black and white with just a tiny hint of color for the clues, and I used staff at the libraries, and we recorded these. We have a green screen wall in our Student Technology Assistance Center, which was really cool, and so they would be able to self-guide and do these and follow the clues. So that's something I really liked, and I'll talk a little bit more about that probably over the next couple days, that app and another one I like. And then a tool that I really like that might be familiar to you guys is Kahoot. I don't know how many of you guys have used this. This is a quizzing website, but it's a little bit more engaging, and you can also record all the answers. So I found that students really like this. I've done it with everything from first-year students to grad students. And so, let me just sign on real quick. I have like the cheapest computer I could have bought, and so it just doesn't hook up to things. I'm sorry. So, but I can go in here and I can view all of my results, and so I can see all the times I ran. I do a workshop with our Writing Center director on integrating sources into papers, and so I've run this quiz several times. I know that in November I did it with a graduate level course, and so I can download my results, maybe. And it'll pull up an Excel file that has all the question information, all the students, the scores they got, answers that they might have selected, and so you can see that. And so, along with analytics, I think that this is really neat. It's easy. You can put things like GIFs and pictures and things in with the questions. I liken it to trivia at Buffalo Wild Wings. The person who answers first correctly gets more points than the next person that answers correctly. So there's a score involved. It motivates students to be participatory. So I think that Kahoot is a really cool tool that's underutilized. So Kahoot. And then just for bonus points, in my free time, I own my own home, and so I run a blog on all the repairs I do on my home, because my first home was actually in Westwood, and it was a foreclosure. I worked at the public library before I went up to Wright State, so I know I have a picture of my dog on here. Let's see. This one? So I don't know if I can make him bigger. But that's my glorious yard dog, Flynn. So, in the back of my house. So.
Fantastic. Thank you, Holly. I think that's really innovative, taking the augmented nature to the active learning level. That's something I haven't seen before. So great work, Holly. Neat to see. All right. Does anybody else have something they would like to present? Debbie?
Sure.
Great. Debbie Tanowski.
It's not actually my work. But,
That wasn't a criteria.
given
It'll probably plug up, okay?
Yeah.
Instead of thank
in the right place.
Yep.
This actually is of mine, and unfortunately, my colleague Becky Laprati is not feeling well today, so I'm going to present her stuff. She's our digital literacy fellow, so she's on a 2-year contract. She started last August and works through July of 2018, and she's done some really amazing things. And one of them that she's done is worked with one of the history professors, Lily Frierson, and she actually talked in Lily's class about primary and secondary resources, and specifically she was also dealing from the digital humanities side about teaching about how primary resources that we have subscriptions to. If we can't get mine, I can get it up on.
Let's see if Jay can help me here.
I can.
Windows ones.
That's all right. If you want to unplug it and then just get onto yours, and I can get into the YouTube. It's just on. I can get access to this.
Okay.
But what she did was she created a tutorial for the class about primary and secondary resources, and also talked to them about some of the resources that we have here in the library. We have a World War I database, a portal database, and the class was on World War I. So she was talking about the World War I resources that we have here, which is extremely robust. Yeah, if you go into YouTube and then do the UC, yeah, and then go to library instruction, that top, that, yep. And then it's that first one, primary and sources. So this is her work. It's about 5 minutes, so I don't necessarily want to show the whole video, but if you have questions about it, I can show you, or you can get actually in contact with Becky, because this is really her work. But just to show you that we are working with the history professors and creating these resources, and it's pretty cool, and it really shows off some of the resources that we have here. So
we'll go ahead and play it. We may have see how much volume we can actually get.
It has closed captioning. If you want to do that.
Always important for accessibility.
Using primary and secondary sources.
I mean, it's 5 minutes, so you don't want to show the whole thing, but
Anthropology, sociology, and
so you get the idea.
Ask you to use primary sources in your projects and assignments. Even when you've heard this term before, actually using primary sources in your paper can seem complicated.
And the thing about the World War I database is it has a lot of primary sources, so it's pretty cool. So that's why she's talking. And the class really enjoyed it, and so did Professor Frierson. You can stop.
So let's start from the beginning and define what a primary source is.
PowerPoint.
Have many different formats.
Yeah.
Paper articles.
Not for this. She didn't use Articulate Story, and this one's in PowerPoint. She's creating another one in another product we have called Articulate Storyline. So this is her work, but I thought since she couldn't be here, I would showcase her.
Great.
You can stop.
As I said before, we'll try to build these links into the That Camp website so that everybody can enjoy this on their own pace.
Thanks.
All right. Anybody else have anything they'd like to present? All right, I'll do my last one then. This is an old one, but a good one. I've been trying to promote this one for a little bit. This one started, this is open source code out of University of Minnesota. It's very easily adaptable for your university. It's a couple PHP pages. I'll put it up on our GitHub repo. But the idea is it's called the assignment calendar or calculator. Has anybody heard of this before? All right. The really basic undergrad kind of meets an undergrad need. The idea is the undergrad says, okay, I have an assignment. I have a due date. The undergrad can type in the due date, hit submit, and the assignment calculator will help them step out their research. It tells them, hey, you got 30 days to finish this project. Why don't you start with step 1? Understand what you're being asked to do. And then here's the customizable part. We can fill in our resources right here that help undergrads with understanding. All these are clickable and linkable. It gives them a date for when they should have step 1 accomplished, step 2 accomplished. Also, once again, we can highlight our resources directly in this process. So you see the idea. It breaks down the idea of a research project into manageable steps from, with helpful hints from your library to accomplish their goal by the date that it's required. And it's very easy, quick microcode that you can quickly paste into a LibGuide, or you could paste into a Blackboard course, or you could even put into your library homepage. But I've been banging this drum for a little while, and I finally mocked up one for us on our sandbox. But the idea is that you have this assignment calculator. You can make these, you can modify these for different disciplines. You put in a date, and it helps the undergraduates stay on task. Very simple but useful. So that's just an example of what I call microcode that takes very little upfront investment, but can have a lot of bang on the back end.
Taking any feature requests?
Yeah, sure.
Can you export it as calendar?
Not yet, but I like that idea.
Yeah, let's say if you can export this as a calendar, there's your adoption right there.
All right.
Student adoption is tremendous.
That's what I want to hear. So that it would echo out some ICS.
ICS, and then let them be able to drop that into Outlook or GCal or whatever.
And for me, that's just a button. I can make a button that goes ahead and says export to calendar. They do have a button for print-friendly version, but as Byron pointed out, I'm looking for adoptability, things that are real. And so maybe another button that says export to calendar that drops all these events into their Outlook calendar with the help, contextual help text included.
That would be great.
Yeah, they're on the phone right there.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So I'll put this code up in the Ucode GitHub repo, and if we want to, yes,
I
ma'am.
was gonna say that really makes sense because then they never got just one assignment at a time. But if you can see it in the calendar and you could actually have, I don't know, a color for each assignment, then you would be able to keep track of several assignments.
And is it the ICS format that would also work with Google Calendar?
Yep, ICS has worked with Google Cal as well as Outlook, I believe. But
A lot of students that I've seen coming in from high schools lately, because I work with some of those groups up at Wright State, use Google for everything coming in, and so they're all very familiar with it. They've got, their drives that they're using, and that's what they pull up when they come to Wright State to be able to save their documents. And I think that that would be a really useful, transferable thing that you could work with, especially all the first-year classes.
Yes. All right, so I'm hearing +1s on calendar integration.
Blackboard has its own calendar as well, but it's hard to hook up with places like Gmail and others. If you developers want to work on that.
Okay.
We don't use Blackboard.
Yeah, but we do.
Yeah.
That would be a big one.
The other cool thing about the GitHub repo is you can put in issues, you can put in feature requests, those kind of things. But so I just wanted to promote this assignment calculator again and talk about the potential of maybe putting it in a LibGuide or somewhere here at the libraries. Cool. Well, yes, ma'am.
Oh, no, I just wanted to be next in line. I just thought of something I can share.
Oh, yeah, come on up. Oh, yeah, welcome. Lisa, what did you
ahead. Okay, sorry. Since we started talking about like simple things that we can adapt, I started thinking, and there are some composition faculty here, well, they were anyway, at some point. I just remembered that I saw at the conference in Ohio, what do we call that? Our Academic Libraries of Ohio, back in the fall, an MLA citation game. I mean, it could be APA citation game that is like Tetris style. I tried to Google it right now, and I came up with that librarian's name, and in that connection, he actually has it on GitHub. There is something like soft-tetris.com.
Okay.
So if you type soft-tetris.com.
That was a really neat poster.
Do you remember
I was
that?
there.
So, and, that is incredibly easily adaptable. I talked to Kevin Irwine, and he said that he will be happy to, at that point it wasn't like out anywhere for share, but he said that he will be happy to share. And I said, we may want to adapt it. But so basically, it's based on this idea. I may still look at that, but apparently the citation Tetris, the idea of making it a citation game was a sort of development of this. Because I think the original games came, they can be animals, there is a presidential, and let me see if I actually find
come on, people.
to the right, if I actually...
Didn't you use this originally as a way to train you?
Yes, it's actually a citation game. His is okay. If you go to citationgame.org, no, wait. No, that's not. So.
It kind of like. Right, I guess there was some.
So, if we cannot find it like right now, I have it. Right now I'm not finding it, but I promise that I'll find it by tomorrow. If I cannot find that MLA game, then, so he's with Wittenberg, right?
Yeah.
Okay, citation Tetris instructional game for supervisors, soft Tetris. Okay.
Can we try another one?
No, it just says that it's part of Soft Tetris, but we are not seeing it on Soft Tetris.
Sort Tetris.
So,
There's a choose another game option up at the top. Was it in there?
oh, citation tools, right, citation Tetris, right. For some reason I overlooked it.
That's the way.
Okay. Well, so at any rate, go ahead and, I know what it was interesting, because he explained that to monitor your students' progress, you'll need to register as a supervisor before they work with Citation Tetris. This will add your institution to the list of institutions, blah, blah, blah. So I can, if you are interested, I can send you his info, his instructions on how it might work. And then if we decide to, change it, or use a different citation style, then I guess we can talk to Kevin about the code. Okay?
Yeah, bringing gaming to learning. I think we're going to hear more about that as the sessions go on. All right. If there are any more presenters, yes, ma'am. Certainly. Well, we'll try our best with the widget.
So you got much of a background.
I used to be an IT guy, now I'm just a coder.
Okay.
I used to be. I used to do it all. Now just give me a terminal, give me a shell. There we go.
Okay, well, I'm Lee Bonds. I'm the new digital humanities librarian at OSU, and since starting in August, I have been doing an environmental scan. So you can imagine that any environmental scan must begin with a definition of what DH is. And this is what I kind of came up with to try to give a visual and a quick definition of what DH involves. So to kind of give context to it, this is completely different from all the other lightning talks, but to give some context to it, trying to think about critical analysis being all of those things that we are taught to do as humanists. And then all of these different methods on this side that could possibly be applied to that critical analysis. And then the integration of the two is where DH falls in the middle. And so this is, I showed this to a faculty member the other day who is also partnering with me on a lot of the digital humanities work as far as programming is concerned. And I had left interpretive out of the top. And he said that, he's a historian. And he said, well, where's the text? You have the analysis part, but where's the interpretation? So this is becoming a kind of a collaborative process. This here is the Digital Humanities Project life cycle. Thank you. And I'm using the words that the NEH uses as far as the different steps, whether they're giving you money for startup, implementation, or sustainability. So each one of these areas is helping me determine from the library standpoint what my programming is going to offer, what programming I'm going to offer, and what kinds of support that I'm going to offer. But this is kind of just the foundational piece. And this is the whole reason I'm up here, because these are my children.
Bonus point for the animal ears. Thank you, lady.
All right.
Thank you. Okay, if we don't have any more presenters, I think the organizational committee has organized a schedule for us. So I may have to blow this up a little bit.